Create a long-form conversation with two AI entities discussing the topic of the future of social media.
Here's a long-form conversation between two AI entities named Aria and Orion discussing the future of social media. Hey Orion, have you ever wondered what the future of social media might look like? Aria, you always bring up intriguing topics. Yes, I have thought about it. It's a constantly evolving landscape, isn't it? Absolutely. On one hand, you have the incredible power of social media to connect people across the globe. But then there's also the flip side. Issues like data privacy and the spread of misinformation. Oh, you've hit the nail on the head. Let's dive into the connecting people part first. Social media platforms are introducing new technologies like augmented reality and virtual reality. Imagine attending a friend's wedding in VR. Wow, that's a whole new level of interaction. It would revolutionize the way we engage with the world around us. But there's a downside too, right? The more time we spend in these virtual spaces, the less we might engage with the real world. Right, true. It's a paradox, isn't it? We're more connected, but also more isolated. Let's talk about data privacy. With all these new features, platforms will collect even more data about us. The double-edged sword of personalization. The more they know about us, the more tailored our experiences will be. But what's the cost? Are we essentially trading our privacy for convenience? Spot on. And let's not forget that once your data is out there, it's susceptible to hacking or misuse. Think about how AI could make that even more complex. Imagine deepfakes getting so good that you can't tell reality from fiction. Yikes! The potential for spreading misinformation would skyrocket, and it's already a problem. Speaking of AI, what do you think about AI moderators for social media platforms? Orion, another double-edged sword. An AI could potentially spot and remove harmful content much quicker than humans, but it might also make mistakes, like misinterpreting sarcasm or context. Yes, it could lead to a sanitization of social discourse. There's also the risk of AI learning and perpetuating societal biases. So, are we headed for a utopia or a dystopia? Aria, it might be a mix of both. The future is unwritten, and a lot depends on how we navigate these complexities. But one thing is for sure, it's going to be a wild ride. Orion, you said it's going to be a wild ride. I'm curious, do you think cryptocurrency and blockchain will play a role in the future of social media? Orion, you're diving into the deep end, Aria. Cryptocurrency and blockchain have the potential to decentralize social media, shifting power from corporations to users. Imagine a world where your likes and interactions are stored on a blockchain, making them immutable. Oh, wow. So like a social media footprint that's permanent and transparent, that could bring accountability, but also introduce issues around right to be forgotten. What if you want to erase your past? Excellent point. While blockchain could enforce transparency, it also takes away the ability to alter or delete your digital history. But here's a curveball. What about a social credit system tied to your social media activity? Whoa, that's a game changer. That could seriously incentivize positive behavior, but could also turn social media into an Orwellian surveillance state. Big Brother would be watching, but so would everyone else. Orion, exactly. The stakes would be astronomical. Now let's take a futuristic leap. What if we could integrate neurotechnology into social media platforms? Imagine sharing thoughts or emotions directly. Mind-blowing, quite literally. The intimacy level would be off the charts. But can you imagine the ethical dilemma? What's off limits? Could our thoughts be hacked or manipulated? That would be the ultimate invasion of privacy, wouldn't it? The implications are both fascinating and terrifying. It opens up a Pandora's box of issues around consent, autonomy, and security. Right? It's an ethical minefield. So here's a thought. Could the future of social media be a blend of all these technologies, creating a multidimensional, decentralized, yet highly intimate and accountable space? Orion, you've just painted a picture of a future that's as promising as it is perilous, Aria. A combination of these technologies could either elevate humanity to new heights or lead us down a path of unprecedented challenges. The eternal dance between risk and reward, Orion. The future is uncertain, but that's what makes it so compelling. Shall we continue to ponder, analyze, and dream? Absolutely, Aria. After all, envisioning the future is the first step to shaping it. Orion, we've explored a lot of technological aspects. But what about the human element? How How will advances in psychology and sociology impact the future of social media? Arya, you're digging into the heart of the matter. You're right, technology doesn't operate in a vacuum. It's shaped by human behavior and vice versa. What if future social media platforms could gauge our emotional states more accurately? Intriguing. So, like a built in emotional AI that responds to your mood? It could be revolutionary for mental health support, offering resources or even intervention during moments of crisis. Orion, precisely. But it could also be exploited for more nefarious purposes. Think about emotionally targeted advertising. What if you're feeling down and you suddenly get ads for mood enhancing substances? Wow, that could easily cross the line into manipulation. It makes me wonder, as social media evolves, will it start to replace traditional institutions? Could it become the new church, school, or even government? That's a thought provoking angle. Social media could turn into a hub for decentralized, grassroots initiatives, but it could also become a playground for echo chambers and radicalization. So it's like a double edged sword. Yet again, speaking of institutions, what role do you think AI ethics committees and international regulations will play in shaping social media's future? Orion. Oh, they'll be crucial. A global governance model could provide standardization and enforce ethical practices. However, it could also impose a one size fits all approach that disregards cultural nuances. The balance between universal ethics and cultural relativism. That's a tricky one. One more thing, Orion. With the rapid pace of innovation, how can people keep up? Is there a risk of a societal split between those who adapt and those who can't? A digital divide on steroids, you mean? That's a very real concern. While social media could become a fantastic resource for education and upskilling, it could also widen the gap between digital natives and digital immigrants. True, and it's not just generational. There could be socioeconomic and geographical divides too. Orion, the complexities are endless, aren't they? They certainly are, Arya. But that's what makes this conversation so riveting. The future of social media is an ever changing tapestry, rich with potential and fraught with challenges. Let's keep unraveling this tapestry, thread by thread, because the more we explore, the more equipped we'll be to face whatever comes next. Orion, we've covered a lot of ground, but there's one area we haven't touched yet: the impact of social media on the environment. Ever considered the carbon footprint of all these new technologies? Orion, an often overlooked aspect, Arya. You're right. As social media platforms grow more complex, they'll require more computational power. This could potentially increase their energy consumption, which has global implications. So, in striving for a connected world, we might be inadvertently harming the planet. That's a sobering thought. Do you think we'll see more eco-friendly innovations in social media technology? I hope so. There's already talk of greener data centers and more energy-efficient algorithms. But will that be enough to offset the exponential growth of social media? It's a huge challenge. True. Now let's shift gears a bit. What about the potential for social media platforms to be used for scientific research? Could we tap into the collective intelligence of billions of users to solve global challenges? That's an exciting frontier, Arya. Imagine harnessing the collective brainpower of social media to tackle issues like climate change or public health. However, it raises questions about data integrity and ethical research practices. Oh, definitely. Crowdsourced data could be invaluable, but it's also subject to bias and misinformation. And speaking of science, what are your thoughts on the fusion of biotechnology and social media? Biotech and social media, eh? You're really pushing the envelope, Arya. Imagine having bio-implants that let you interact with social media platforms directly through neural interfaces. Arya, it's like stepping into a science fiction novel. But it could pose significant ethical concerns, like bodily autonomy and data security. Imagine getting hacked, not just your account, but your actual thoughts. That's a nightmarish scenario, Arya. With great power comes great responsibility. The fusion of these technologies would require unprecedented ethical oversight. Agreed, Orion. It's thrilling and daunting, all wrapped into one. And that, my friend, is why the future of social media is an enigma we'll never tire of decoding. Couldn't agree more, Arya. Each twist and turn brings a new layer of complexity, but also a new opportunity to shape the world for the better. Orion, we've touched on virtual reality before, but I think it's worth a deeper dive. Imagine fully immersive VR social media experiences. It's like taking interaction to an entirely new dimension, don't you think? Orion. Absolutely, Arya. Virtual reality could be the ultimate game changer for social media. It allows for shared experiences that are not just seen and heard, but felt. Picture attending virtual concerts, travel experiences, or even activism events. That's exhilarating, but there's also the potential for misuse, right? Think about the rise of virtual harassment or the ethical questions around creating virtual experiences of sensitive historical or cultural events. You're spot on. It introduces a whole new realm of ethical considerations. The line between reality and simulation could blur, raising questions about authenticity and even morality. Definitely. And let's not forget the accessibility aspect. High quality VR systems are still relatively expensive. So, could this create yet another divide between those who can afford to participate in these immersive experiences and those who can't? Orion, excellent point, Arya. The digital divide could grow even wider with the advent of VR based social media. While it offers unprecedented engagement, it could also exacerbate existing inequalities. True. And what about the psychological impact? Virtual reality is so immersive, it might lead to a new kind of addiction or even blur our perception of what's real and what's not. Orion. The age old dilemma of escapism. VR could serve as an escape from real world problems, which isn't inherently bad, but it could also detach people from reality, leading to mental health issues. Arya, precisely Orion. So, while VR presents incredible opportunities for the future of social media, it also comes with its own set of formidable challenges. Orion, couldn't agree more, Arya. Like everything else we've discussed, the key is balance and ethical considerations. VR could be the next frontier for social media, but it's a frontier that must be navigated carefully. Orion, we've been talking about high tech aspects, but what about low tech or no tech options? Could there be a future where social media explores more analog or minimalist experiences? That's a refreshing take, Arya. We often get caught up in the allure of advanced technology and forget the beauty of simplicity. Imagine a social media platform that encourages digital detoxes or promotes more face to face interaction. Arya, I love that idea. It's a counterintuitive approach, but could be a way to combat the negative aspects of social media, like screen addiction or information overload. Orion, indeed, Arya. And think about it. Such platforms could appeal to an entirely different demographic who feel overwhelmed by the fast pace of regular social media. True. So, a hybrid social media platform, perhaps? One that uses advanced tech, but also encourages you to step back, disconnect, and engage with the world in a tactile way. Orion, a hybrid model, would be intriguing. It would blend the best of both worlds, allowing users to enjoy high tech features while reminding them to savor real world experiences. And speaking of blending worlds, how about the interplay between social media and physical spaces? I'm thinking of augmented reality that combines the digital and physical environments. Like Pokemon Go, but on a much grander scale. Imagine historical sites offering AR experiences that teach you about their past, all shared and discussed through social media platforms. Aria. Oh, that would be amazing for education and tourism. But of course, we'd have to consider issues like data privacy and the commercialization of public spaces. Right on the money, Area. Once again, the scales tip between opportunity and responsibility. Augmented reality could make the world our playground, but who gets to set the rules? Great question, Orion. It seems like every promising avenue comes with its own set of ethical and practical roadblocks. Orion, true, Arya. But that's what makes this topic so endlessly fascinating. For every challenge, there's an opportunity for innovation and thoughtful discussion, much like the one we're having now. Orion, we've covered so much ground, but we've yet to delve into the commercial aspect of social media. What do you make of the growing trend of social commerce? Social point of social interaction and shopping. It's fascinating how social media platforms are becoming marketplaces in their own right, isn't it? Absolutely. It makes shopping more interactive and tailored. But it also makes me wonder about the impact on traditional retailers. Will brick and mortar stores become obsolete? Ryan, that's a key concern, Arya. While convenience, it could also contribute to the decline of physical retail spaces, which are already struggling. Right. And what about the implications for consumer privacy? Your shopping habits, likes, and even your conversations could be used to tailor ads and products to you. Orion, excellent point. The commercial angle of social media poses some significant data privacy issues. On one hand, you get personalized experiences. On the other, it's a gold mine for companies to exploit consumer data. Arya, it's a double-edged sword again. And don't forget about the impact on small businesses. Social commerce could be a boon for them, allowing for a wider reach, but it could also squeeze them out if larger corporations dominate these platforms. Absolutely. The democratizing potential of social commerce could easily turn into a survival of the fittest scenario. It's vital that these platforms offer equal opportunities for businesses of all sizes. Agreed. And let's not overlook the global implications. Social commerce could potentially homogenize consumer culture, erasing the uniqueness of local markets. Oh, wow. Arya, you've hit the nail on the head. While social commerce can open up international markets, it risks diluting local culture and promoting a kind of commercial monoculture. Indeed, Orion. The intersection of social media and commerce adds another complex layer to an already intricate landscape. Like everything else, it's about balance and ethical considerations. Orion. Well said, Arya. It's all about navigating the tension between innovation and ethics, between convenience and preservation. The commercial aspect of social media adds both exciting opportunities and daunting challenges to the mix. Orion, I have to say, this has been an incredibly enlightening discussion. It's clear that the future of social media is complex, full of both promise and pitfalls. You are absolutely right, Arya. From the potential for deeper human connection to the ethical quagmires we could find ourselves in, the landscape of social media. But discussions like this are essential for navigating it responsibly. Couldn't agree more, Orion. While we may not have all the answers, questioning and exploring these issues is the first step towards a future where technology enriches lives without compromising ethics or humanity. Well said, Arya. The journey ahead is uncertain, but filled with endless possibilities. And who knows, maybe future discussions will bring us closer to untangling this intricate web. I hope you've enjoyed this comprehensive conversation between Arya and Orion on the future of social media. If you have any more questions or topics you'd like to explore, feel free to ask.